What is up, faithful? We got a big matchup this week against the Seattle Seahawks. The big news coming out of Seattle is that Sam Darnold is dealing with an oblique injury. He is questionable going into this weekend. I don't know whether he will play. An oblique injury is usually 1 to 3 weeks depending on the severity. So we will find out tomorrow. If he is not going through the walkthroughs, he will sit. But if he plays, it'll hamper the Seahawks, which will be good for our 49ers. So, also, 53% of the fan base at Lumen Field is going to be 49ers fans. This is huge. If we win this weekend, and I really want this to go viral, Lumen Field in Seattle will be Levi North if we can win this Saturday. It's going to be huge. Let's take this place over. Let's show this 12s that Lumen Field is officially Levi North. Now, going into this game, I'm not expecting a whole lot to change from Seattle's point. They did not really do a whole lot of deep and downfield passing in the last matchup. And I really think they're going to try to lean into the running game with Eric Kendricks in the lineup and possibly Kazir White, which I'm hoping he comes in and gets activated tomorrow. We will find out by noon tomorrow whether he gets activated or not, but going into this game, we need veteran linebackers. Fred Warner is out for this game. He was pushing to try to come back into this game and try to make it for this one, but he couldn't meet those requirements the team has. So it's going to be huge. The defense is going to have to step up big time in this matchup. I think they're going to try to run their big nickel. If I were them, that's what I would run. That or their base package. But I would stay out of them light packages that they were running against Seattle in Week 18. The offense. It was humming against the Eagles. Week 18, according to Matt Mayoko and Dave Lombardi, they kind of described the offense as being very preseason-esque. And it kind of looked like it when we were all watching the game. And it didn't have a whole lot of complicated plays to it. There was very few motions, if any at all. The downfield passing was non-existent. They didn't really have, I think, any passes over 15 yards. So, mostly just checkdowns and stuff that was under the 10-yard mark. And Christian McCaffrey didn't even have that many touches. And I don't think he was even barely used in that matchup. From what Kyle Shanahan gave us in that Week 18 game was we were just trying to make it out of that game alive. In my opinion, from a strategy standpoint, I had to read a bunch of books when I was in the Marines. I know it's kind of weird, right? Marines reading books, because they usually say we're crayon eaters. Not always. In a strategy point, you hand your opponent something. If you want to win the war, right? You hand your opponent something that they want. A minor victory. Seattle put everything into that Week 18 game to win the number 1 seed and the division. We didn't show them anything other than maybe a basic preseason offense. They weren't really trying to win the game from my point of view and when I was watching it, and we all saw the game. They didn't actively try to win the game compared to the previous 5 weeks where Shanahan was aggressive. He would go for it on fourth down. The play calling was aggressive. You had motions. Tight ends were in use. Downfield passing more than 15 yards, 20-yard passes. We had it all. It was explosive plays. But in the Week 18 game, we didn't really have that. And I think that is part of the reason why the Eagles had such a hard time, was because when you look at that film, you're like, well, the Niners should be easy. We can run them over. Like, look at what they're putting out on the film. There wasn't anything there. And to the Eagles, you're like, yeah. You see the plays they're running. The defense is struggling to stop the run game. And you're not really looking into the fact that maybe the 49ers were intentionally doing that. And based on how Matt Miyoko, Tim Kawakami, and Dave Lombardi had described the 49ers, especially on the sideline when I watched them, they were very calm. And even Kyle Shanahan was a lot more stoic in that Week 18 game than he typically is. He's usually losing his freaking mind or throwing a goddamn fit on the field when some bull crap is happening or the offense can't stay on the field. And I think, again, it's just my opinion. We can all disagree. Talk about it in the comment section. I think he handed them that game. There was no guarantee that they would make it past the Eagles, but it's a risk you have to make, right? I think going into this game, the 49ers are going to have a more explosive offense. They need to run the ball. I really wish they would use Brian Robinson, because I haven't seen much of him at all, if at all, lately in the past 3 weeks. And they really need to start leaning into him and giving him more touches. You cannot constantly have CMC on the field operating as a power back and operating as his normal self, going out of the backfield, catching passes, and having him do 30 touches a game. It's not going to be not going to be good for him. I know we all like CMC, but he's getting up there in age. And you need a fresh set of legs to come in, and Brian Robinson is a perfect running back for that, especially if you're trying to go in between the tackles and you want to wear the Seahawks defense down, which is what you want to do. You want to wear them down, because if you're able to run the ball, it opens up the play action, opens up the motions, it opens up his entire offense. Something I wish he would use is 2 tight ends. I mean, George Kittle is out, and he had a successful surgery, and it looks like he may come back sooner than expected. So I'm thinking at the earliest August. And I could be wrong. It just depends on what his supplements are like, what his diet will be like, his recovery, whether he's taking collagen or not, because all of that plays into it. I've had knee surgeries, and when I had my knee surgery, I was taking calcium, phosphorus. I was drinking collagen. I was drinking all kinds of supplements, taking all kinds of supplements, and rehabbing. So it is very possible to come back early from even an injury like that. Back in the day, that would be a career-ending injury. You'd be done. No freaking way that you could come back in less than a year. But with today's technology, supplements, and stuff like that, they're able to come back from injuries like that fairly quickly. And we're looking to see if we can get Fred Warner back for the NFC Championship game. That's where he's aiming for. I know he was trying to aim for this divisional round game, which I was kind of hoping it for it too. And based on how he was practicing and how he was talking, he was actively aiming for this game. But it just didn't look like that was going to be the case. Not from this team's standpoint. They're not going to risk having him come out and get hurt again. And I think we'll be okay. We don't have Tatum Bethune out there. I know there are some people out there who are high on him. He's a tackling machine. But right now he lacks the IQ. And the one thing Seattle took advantage of that he struggles with is the pre-snap motions. Being able to get everybody into position. The middle linebacker is not just the person who goes out there and freaking tackles everybody that comes up to them. No. More often than not, they're having to realign the defensive line. They're having to realign the secondary. They're calling things out. They're out there actively being the general of that defense once the play has been called. And you were able to see that with Eric Kendricks, because Eric Kendricks was actively getting people realigned. He was calling things out, and you saw a much more disciplined defense this time around. And Tatum Bethune was in that Week 18 game, and actually throughout the season, he was waiting and reacting. He wasn't actively meeting the running backs at the line of scrimmage or even in the backfield. And then when he would do that on a rare occasion, he'd miss the damn tackle. And that is the one thing that Eric Kendricks brings that Tatum Bethune just doesn't have right now. It's going to take him a little bit before he can acquire that. Eric Kendricks has the IQ, he has the speed. Not physical speed, but he has the speed because of knowledge. He knows how to get himself into position. And that quick, short area burst, at least has enough of it, to be able to react to things. And we saw it with that pass. He was reading Jalen Hurts like a book, watched his eyes, and immediately went right for that pass and blocked it. That's what a veteran linebacker can do. That's what a veteran linebacker brings to the defense. And I'm hoping that this defense can step up even more than they did last week. I know from what I'm hearing they're exhausted. And I would be too if I was going through freaking all the games that they're having to go through. They're basically having the book thrown at them by the NFL. They couldn't even get an extra day's rest, which is BS to me, because make it a Sunday game. But hey, the NFL wants it to be a Saturday game at 5 o'clock, so it is what it is. You got to kind of run with the punches as they come. Kyle Shanahan's going to have to freaking really pull some punches out of his playbook. He's going to have to pull some magic. I know in big games he's not really been all that great, especially in the Super Bowl. Not always his fault. Some of it is, but it is what it is. That's what happens when you play Mahomes. Fuck him, and fuck the Chiefs too. I don't like the fucking Chiefs. They can kiss my ass. So can the Seahawks. And for all you freaking Eagles fans that are possibly watching this, probably not, but still, you guys all suck. And you 12s, yeah, you suck too. I ain't shy about that. I'm like, nah, you guys can, yeah, you already know. But this weekend, Kyle Shanahan's going to have to pull some freaking rabbits out of his ass. Out of his hat. Whatever you want to call it. I don't care. He's going to have to pull some rabbits out of the hat. He's going to have to pull some Houdini shit. And he's going to have to freaking pull off an amazing win. because we're 7.5-point underdogs in this game. The good thing about this is that Seattle had to put everything they had into that Week 18 game, so we've got film on them. And it's not that we don't already play them enough, but we've got Week 18 filmed, and we can see what they're going to act, what they're going to be like, how they're going to play when they're really trying to push and try to play to win a game. With us, they don't know. Because Kyle didn't open up the entire playbook. In fact, I don't even think he freaking operated on maybe 15% of what he has. If that. It was described even by Dave Lombardi, Kawakami, and Mayoko as being a very preseason-esque offense. There was no preparation, if any, like very little preparation for that game. And it plays into how the Seattle Seahawks not only view themselves going into this game, but how they're going to react to things. And they don't know that Shanahan was actively just giving him that game. They thought, we're just the better team. And in my opinion, and like I said, it's just my opinion, we can agree to disagree, but I think he gave him that game. And we're gonna have to pull out some really freaking good stuff. And I hopefully we get to see some of that freaking trick plays that we did last time. The double reverse to touchdown pass to CMC. That was nice. Haven't seen anything like that, not for a while. So it's going to be a hard game, not just for us, but for Seattle. Because they're going in probably overconfident. And if they go in overconfident, we can probably come out with the upset. And honest to God, I hope we see the Rams in the NFC Championship game if we win this game. I really do, because I want a dude that let the freaking hate tour, as John Chapman is saying, let that hate tour go. Let's go. Bring them on next. They can hate us all the way in LA, and we'll whoop their ass there too. Take over their stadium. And I think that's about it. I mean, we got some players back. Ricky Pearsall's coming in. Hopefully he stays healthy. Keeping my fingers crossed and praying for him that he stays healthy, because God knows we don't need any more dang injuries. I know Nick Bosa's been kind of teasing stuff on his particular social media. And given his injury, and I have experience with knee injuries, probably a lot more than most people, his ACL injury is a graft. So it wasn't, when you have a knee surgery, right? Your first knee surgery, they'll usually take the tendon from your hamstring. So it's coming off of your hamstring tendon. And you can feel that little muscle on the back of your leg. It's not like a muscle, but it's like you can feel the tendon just on the outside of your leg, the back of your hamstring. You'll feel it there. They shave it off of that. So when you have your first knee surgery, you're having to not only recover from the surgery to your knee, but your hamstring is also having to recover as well from having a portion of it shaved off. Now, when you tear it a second time, then they use a cadaver. And that comes from someone who said, yeah, you can use my body for whatever purposes, for medical reasons. Donate their organs, their muscles, the tendons, all of it, So that's how he got his ACL. And they used to use like little pins, and they would drill them they would drill a hole, and the pin would go in, and it would attach on, and to the pin would be the tendon, and it would sit there until the bone was healed. And I had that issue the second time with my knee. I had to have second surgery, but it didn't freaking hold. So I'm gonna have to have a third surgery on my knee. But he has a bone graft, is what they're using now, and the bone graft basically allows the body to absorb the bone, and it heals faster. And because he didn't have his hamstring shaved this time, there's not a secondary wound that he has to recover from either. So the recovery time is typically a little faster by about a month or two. Depends on the individual. He's younger than I am. When I had surgery on my right leg, and if I recall, I had to have a cadaver for my right leg. They didn't take it out of my ACL, or not my ACL, but they didn't take it out of my hamstring. That was my request, and so the piece that they used for me was much thicker than you typically would get. Doctor did that for a reason, so that way I don't have to freaking have issues with tearing it again. But it took me about 6 months to recover from my knee surgery, and that was me being able to fully run and do what I need to. The sports therapy, the place that I got therapy from, they do athletes from the college that's close by. So they're not only getting professional athletes that go there, they get college athletes. So the type of recovery I had is the same type of recovery that he's going through. And if not, he's probably going through way better, because he has a hell of a lot more money than I do. And he can afford better nutrition, better supplements, and better therapists. So I'm not saying that he's going to make a return. I wouldn't if I were him, but that is something that maybe we watch out for. Maybe Bosa comes back for the Super Bowl. If we can make the damn Super Bowl, that'd be freaking awesome. It would be one hell of a turnaround, but just kind of an off thing, maybe. I have my experience with knee surgeries, and again, I would give it like maybe 20/80. I know he's been freaking, like I said, teasing things on his freaking social media. My wife has been keeping track of his social media. She's a new Niner fan, so a convert. And my daughter is also, we got her clothes for being a Niner. She got like a little outfit and a dress and everything, but I think Seattle is going to go into this game a lot more confident than they should be. And I don't think they're expecting the Niners to put up a fight. I think they actively think they're better than the Niners, which on paper they probably are. But right now it's about who has the most heart, who's going to come in, and who is going to win this game. Who's going to have the drive to win this game. And if we're going to this game, I'm not going to be there, but for all of you guys who do go to this game, get loud. Support this team. Make Lumen Field feel like an away game for Seattle if you are going. And by the time we leave this weekend and Seattle hopefully loses, we can spread this all around, make it go viral, because Lumen Field will be Levi North. So, also Trent is still out there. He's going to play this weekend. Ricky Pearsall, like I said, is looking like he's going to play this weekend. We have Tonjes. It's not exactly Kittle, but he's a damn good receiving threat. He's shown that he, if given the opportunity, can really take over a game. So we have the weapons, we have the defense, and hopefully let's give Fred Warner the opportunity to play this season. And the Niners, I have a feeling, I have a feeling they're going to win. And hopefully Sam Darnold doesn't play, Hopefully he can just sit on the bench and recover, because oblique injuries are rather painful. So, for all of you guys that are watching, for all you ladies that are watching, spread that. We're taking over Seattle. We're taking over Lumen Field. It will be Levi North by the time we get done. And we are faithful to the Bay no matter where we play. Stay faithful.